When I first came out with this program, I got an email from a principal who said, there are no bullies in our school because I am the bully. And this, of course, led me to email him back and ask some questions. And what he responded, his justification for being the bigger bully, was that growing up, his mother was a pushover. So that when he got into education, he found that all the successful teachers in his nationally renowned inner city, private, low-income school were authoritative, old school, using the black parenting style approach. And that was the only way to work with these kids. So that is a mindset. That is a knowledge base that is right here, but it's not exactly what's possible. And I certainly understand. I understand that there is a real deep concern in not only this principal, but many people, that if I don't bully back, if I don't out-bully the bully, then I'm going to be annihilated. And so I understand that, and I've been through that, and I know that what happens in the mind is you start thinking, what does she mean be compassionate? What does she mean connect? What does she mean ask questions? That the mind just kind of goes, okay, what? That'll never work. I can't control using soft methods. And so we are mistaken in believing that it is about out-bullying the bully as a way to get control over the situation. And so what I have to teach you has a lot to do with techniques and thinking to do it differently. So this principal, I believe he's very well-meaning, very intentional, and not yet open to learning a new way to take him from where he is to what is possible. So let's just do the math, for example. 1 and 1 is 2. So 1 plus 1 is a bigger number. It always is. So anything we add together becomes a bigger number. And so we have a bully in a school, and we have a principal who is a bigger bully, and we add that bully to this bully, and we get a bigger bully. We get a bigger bully who is more effective at bullying, and because we're teaching how to do that. So that's kind of the problem here, don't you see? Is that continuing to do what appears to work short term does not handle long-term problems. And so while out-bullying the bully appears to be a mechanism to enforce control right now, you're always having to do it. And so nothing is remedied, nothing is healed, nothing is fixed. There's no new skill. The skill is taught how to be a bigger bully, but there's no new skill how to be effective and empowered and confident in your world, and how to treat people in a way that gets you what you really wanted in the first place. And so you can get a short-term result, but it has a long-term effect, a long-term negative effect if we don't correct this right now. And I know it's kind of scary to let go of what you think is working short-term, but I want to invite you to keep thinking about a long-term result where you're not always having to control the situation. People can manage themselves when they're taught the skills, and when they are taught a new psychology, a new understanding about what's going on for them emotionally, what's triggering. And I'll tell you right now, there's basically 3 things that will trigger an increase in intense behavior, and that is guilt, shame, and fear. And those 3 components, when used to control, people who are behaving badly, who are behaving unskillfully, only ignites and inflames an already difficult situation. So it means we have to slow down, we have to take in some new knowledge, practice, role play, in the moment, take the opportunities, and apply just simple thinking strategies. And that's what's going to make a difference, energetically and behaviorally. I want to tell you that I have been there. My background began in education, and I worked with significantly difficult, at-risk students who came from abusive homes and from a transient areas to inner city schools, to the farming communities, to working programs for the substance abuse programs, to working with the parents of these kids, to working with the faculty and staff trying to teach these kids. My background and my experience goes all the way. But that's not all. I was really effective professionally. And yet personally, I was in that cycle of self-victimization and what the men in my life were doing to me. And I'm talking that I know what abuse is. I've been on the receiving end. I don't want to get into all the different ways, but just know all the different ways. So I know what I'm talking about. And then I raised 3 children, and so I got to coach them and role play with them and shore them up so they could hold their own space energetically without a chip on their shoulder, without defensiveness. I got to work them through that as I was doing it myself. And then I got them grown, and I got into a larger world of business. And I've had very abusive personality styles try to bully me into doing things in my business that are not effective and not going to be the direction I go. I share all of these stories, all of these experiences in this program. And what I did, what I thought in that moment, in that intense moment that changed everything before my very eyes. And so when a principal writes me a letter like that, there's an assumption that I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I just want to clear that up. I wouldn't have written this if I didn't know what I was talking about. Do I do it perfectly all the time? Absolutely not. But when I'm on my game, and when I start my day out, I take care of myself, doing all the things that are good for me, yes, I'm very effective. I'm very effective in the moment. When I'm not taking care of myself, I get myself overtired, I stretch myself too thin, I try to do too much for too many people just because I love to, not because I have to. That's a whole different thing now. I don't have to. I just want to. I just love to. But when I'm not taking care of myself, then yeah, there's a likelihood that I'm gonna not regulate myself at the level that I know how to, that I have the skill for. And I have an agreement with myself that when that happens and I blotch a situation, I make it worse instead of better, is that I go to those people and I apologize and I own my part. And that's powerful, and that's cleansing, and that's takes things, everything to the next level. Being able to acknowledge that I didn't do it as good as I could have, or that I know how to. So when I talk to you about these things, it's because I have a very 30-year experience in working with these kinds of situations. I had a family counseling practice as well. I've been a coach, volleyball and basketball, which brings up an interesting point with things that we fear. So I was a winning volleyball and basketball coach. We won championships. And the first year coaching volleyball, man, it just looked like we weren't going to be able to do anything. And I saw that the girls were very afraid of the ball, a served ball, because it's so they come across so fast. They're like bullets. And so what I did is I put each girl in front of me. I had one over to the side to throw me balls. And so we had a big stack of balls. And I had one person in front, very close, maybe 10, 15 feet out. And this person was just to shoot me balls, one after the other. And I'd pick those up and I'd serve it, serve it, serve it, serve it. Another one, serve it, serve it, serve it. And I did over and over and over again. And so they're bumping, picking the ball up. And I was going fast so that they eventually had to stop thinking about it. And that moved them through, that kind of role play moved them through their fear. And so when we were in the championship games and those balls were coming across really hard and fast, my girls were undaunted and we won. Right down to the wire, 1 point, 2 points right there, So when I talk about role play practice and just applying a few things in the moment, I know what I'm talking about as far as the effectiveness and the shift that you're going to feel. And literally, things will change before your very eyes. So in the PSAs, the public service announcements, what we're seeing is a lot of against language. And so what I want to point out for you is I want to change that perception, shift it up a little bit to, instead of being against, thus making people the enemy, which means we're coming at them like an enemy, we're pushing, and then we wonder why they're defensive and pushing back stronger, harder, and so the bullying cycle only gets bigger, more severe, or people in a victim position, our mentality spiral down. These are getting magnified. They're not getting better. We have to re-language what it is that we are for. So why not be for, here's a few, be for peace. Before peace. Before calling out the greatness in each other. Before two-way communication and hanging in there with people to do it differently. In your organization, or what, if you're trying to impart good knowledge into our various schools, communities, churches about how best to deal with bully behavior, you want to be for the solution, before a peaceful existence, before, and why do I say two-way communication? Because right now it's only one way, and it's coming at. It's not two-way. We're not investigating. We're not checking in with each other. We're not making sure we even understood each other. We just go boom right at it. We're not managing ourselves. We get emotional. We're not, and this is a skill. This is a piece that we haven't really quite. We're working on it, but we're not there yet. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how simple it is, number one, and what you need to do that you can remember in the face of really intense situations.